day's a day, a bad luck's always a coming my way.
If you're watching this video right now, chances are you're a fan of the Scream movies. Or at the very least, A Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, Freddy Krueger with the glove. Or maybe another Wes Craven classic known as The People Under the Stairs. Well, today's video, today's Grimm adventure is all about The Hills Have Eyes. To be completely honest, this video is really about the inspiration to The Hills Have Eyes. The story, the Scottish legend of the Sawney Bean clan that inspired Wes Craven to not only write but also direct the movie. Just in case you haven't seen the movie The Hills Have Eyes, basically it's a family, like a suburban family, that heads out to the desert, and basically they have a run-in with these cannibals that live out in the desert mountains. The Sawney Bean clan, instead of the mountains in the desert, they actually lived or took up residence and killed, dismembered, and ate people in a cave. That cave is at the bottom of this cliff that I'm standing on. Now, baby ghoul, before we turned on the camera, we did walk around trying to find the best route down to the caves instead of going straight over, which might be the quickest and shortest route. But what do you think?
There is a path that a lot of people have taken down, and we did about half of that. I do have a fear of heights. I have a fear of the path is right along the cliff edge. If you straight either side, you're going to lose your footing, obviously. So I made it about halfway down before my fear really kicked in and kind of paralyzed me. I'm going to try to make it down this time, but we'll see if I can get there. So if you're like me and you're adventurous, but you have some things that hold you back, I don't know if I would suggest this 100% for you, but I'm going to try it because I really want to see this cave.
Now I'm going to actually go one step further and say, don't come out here. With all seriousness though, unless you are like of peak physical health or adventurous and the ground really isn't wet, you could really hurt yourself. And I don't want anybody coming out here and going, oh, the Grimms did it, and they come out here and something happens. Watch this video, go on the adventure through us. But, again, don't come out here. But if you were to come out here to seek out the Sawney Bean Cave, when you get to the car park, more than likely you're gonna walk right over to this corner like we are right now and look down. Everybody takes this path. It is treacherous. It is straight down. I'm gonna go ahead and lift the camera up. You really can't see it because of the fog, but it is down there. Don't do it. We're gonna show you how to get there. So what you're looking at right now is a satellite view of the car park right above the caves. Well, kind of above the caves. Where we were just standing, where we said, don't come here, is over here in this corner. But if you look at the satellite image on the other side of the parking lot, and it kind of wraps around to right above the cave entrance, you'll see a trail. That's what you want to take. That's what we are taking. We scoped it out. Just be careful. In a moment, we're going to put away the camera as we walk down the hillside. It's more of a hillside than a cliffside over on this part. But looking down right now, I think you guys can hear it. Let me be quiet for a moment. So that's the sound of the ocean. And then this right here, this is the notorious, the infamous Sawney Bean Cave. That is where we are heading, and we have to climb down here. This is crazy. This is nuts. Now, when it comes to the stories, the legend of Sawney Bean, you have to remember that it's really just that. But with every good story, they're always based in some sort of fact. And the more you read up on the Sawney Bean clan and the cannibalism and the horrors here in Scotland, the more it's going to terrify you. I mean, it terrified Wes Craven enough, or it inspired him enough to make a horror movie called The Hills Have Eyes. Now, I'm always bad with numbers. Now, The Sawney Bean clan, we mentioned Sawney Bean and we mentioned Black Agnes, but then they had a family. They had kids, and then they had grandkids, and then it became this whole incestuous thing. And I'm bad with numbers, like I said, so I have this pulled up, I'm gonna read it. It says the pair, Sawney Bean and Black Agnes, produced 6 daughters, 8 sons, 14 granddaughters, and 18 grandsons. The grandchildren were said to be products of incest between their children. So you have this family, the Sawney Bean clan, and they would rob passerbys of this hill, of this road that's on the other side of this hill right above us. And they would, they would eat these people. And the townspeople at first thought they were animals that were committing all these disgusting bloody bits along the road. And then they thought it was the innkeepers, because most of the innkeepers they were the last people to see these victims alive. I mean, they were passerbys, so it made sense. But when we get down there, and right before we go in the cave, we're going to tell you what led to their capture. It's a crazy story. As you can see, the path that we were pointing out, enough people have come out here to just kind of have a footpath just worn into the hillside. Here, let's go ahead and take a look over here. Oh man. So technically we've done the easy part. We made it to the rim. So from here on out, this is the path that goes down to the water and to the cave entrance. And we got to put the camera away for this. We have to have both hands. I guess if we wanted to, we could have brought a GoPro or something like that to get the shots, but typically we don't like the way that those cameras look, especially in a situation like this. We did, however, bring our drone. So at some point we are going to get that up in the air. We call it the ghostly swoosh. I'm hoping, I feel very Wicker Man-ish right now. I'm hoping we're gonna get some really good aerial shots. Plus, I just want to really get inside the cave. This should put everything into perspective. There's Jessica coming down the last little bit here. She is a trooper. You are a trooper, baby ghoul. She was a little afraid that she wasn't going to be able to make it. But we did. Oh man. First impressions, baby ghoul.
This is really beautiful. I feel like I've discovered another part of the earth that hasn't been touched, that's been laying quietly under the crust or something like that, you know? But you know what I did find?
What's that?
Dead mouse.
A dead mouse?
Yeah.
Doesn't this kind of give you also Jurassic Park vibes?
Yes, it does. It really does. I don't need to add that to my anxiety, but I think we're okay. I think we're okay.
Now, directly behind Jessica, as she walks down here, you can see some metal on the hillside. Again, directly above us is a highway. So we're guessing at some point a car or a tractor trailer or probably part of a bridge.
It looks like a truck. I can see the cab and like it's one of those flatbed haulers.
So over this way, we're gonna line up. Well, there's not really any shots to line up, but we are going to show you a few different things and talk about stuff.
Oh, it's black sand.
The ocean right there, and the entrance to the caves, the Sawney Bean Caves, are out across the rocks a little bit and to the right. And you cannot get here unless it is low tide, which it is low tide right now. And in fact, the next couple of hours, it's going to get even lower. And this is important because one of the reasons the Sawney Bean clan went unnoticed or didn't get caught for 25 years.
Wow.
They were eating people for 25 years is because, oh, here's the thing. The magistrate, the people of the towns knew that there was a cave here, and they came down here and there's no way people can live in there.
Right.
And so they dismissed it. But
Because how would they get them down the cliff?
exactly. And like, think about this, right? So we know the caves are over here to the left.
Yes.
Just right over there. And we're gonna point it out, like I said, but before we do that, just imagine this, right? The Sawney Bean story. Turn around, baby, go and look up. So that's the cliff that we came down. There's a road up there. Can you imagine 16th century, these people ambushing people as they pass by to the town, and they rob them and they kill them. Now, just picture this, just bear with me. Imagery,
Why did they need
right?
money?
What?
Why did they need money?
I don't know. Well, I think ultimately they ended up robbing them for food,
I see.
right?
Makes
But
sense.
just picture this. Imagine if you're up there on the road and you beat somebody up, knock them unconscious, and you want to eat them. Are you going to carry that body down the cliffside like you just walked?
No, I'll tell you what I probably would do is this is a pretty tight inlet, and on either side these rocks are pretty high and then the beach ends. What I would probably do is take the body to the lowest point, which is over here in a field, throw it in the water.
Now, it's funny you say that. So this family, a big family,
Yeah.
would take these bodies into the caves. They would chop them up, they would eat them, and then they would discard of whatever they didn't use. They were finding body parts along the beach in the towns. That's one of the things that people went, wait a second, something is not right here.
That's why they thought it was an animal.
They thought it was an animal.
I see. If you think about it, man and woman, sister and brother, how often do you and I eat? Maybe once a day?
Right?
I mean, more than that, but if we have to go without food, once a day, for sure. I imagine they ate every few days. She gets pregnant, they start popping out babies. Eventually there's grandkids. That's a lot of mouths to feed when you can't just go fishing, pluck a vegetable, when you're literally robbing and eating people. That's a lot of mouths to feed. And I'm surprised that they didn't get caught much sooner.
Now you have to keep in mind, 25 years this went on, that Sawney Bean and his clan, Black Agnes and their kids and their grandkids, they were eating people. Well, it took one person. Criminals always slip up.
Yeah.
You see, there was one day, there was a man and a woman on, well, according to legend, they were on the same horse. They were riding, and the clan overtook them. But they were able to get the woman, the wife, off the horse. They killed her, but with the help of some other people passing by, the man got away. And he ran to the magistrate, and he said, listen, I was just attacked, and they got the king involved, they got a whole bunch of bloodhounds, and they came out here and they tracked the scents. Just imagine how this would smell down here. They tracked the scents to this cave, and what they found, well, when we go into the cave, we're gonna tell you in somewhat gory detail what they found.
Family-friendly, gory detail.
Family friendly,
Yeah.
that's important. We're a family friendly channel. Talking about cannibals. All right, so I'm gonna point out a few different things. The first one being the obvious. That right there, that rock formation, that is the Sawney Bean Caves. And we came down the hillside just to the right of the summit there. The entrance, the only way to get into it is when it's low tide like it is now. That in fact, the water level is going to keep going down over the next couple hours. We're kind of here a little early. But if you came out here during high tide, you wouldn't get there. There's no way of knowing. You wouldn't even know that they were here. You need to stand out in the water to see it. That's why they went undetected for so long. Now, in case you were wondering, we did come prepared. Not only do we have the drone, but we have some headlamps with us. And we're gonna walk up to the entrance to the cave and go in. Well, as far as we can. Keep in mind that this all happened back in the 16th century. Some people say the 15th century. But people have been inside it. We're gonna go in with our cameras and lights and see what's there. Now, baby, go you've been over here picking up things. What did you find?
So at home we have a little glass bell jar with keepsakes from the pet cemetery locations we did because it was so physically difficult on me and it was so beautiful at the same time. It was a perfect experience. So I have a little patch of moss and some stones from the quarry. So I thought I'd grab a bit of black sand here, you know, a couple of stones. I got a cool shell, and then I found this guy.
Wait a second. Is that a bone?
I think it's a bone. It seems to be a bone. Animal bone, I'm sure, at least. I hope.
But that makes sense. I mean, okay, if we were gonna go visit the Sawney Bean Cave, you have to take a bone with you.
I hope you don't find any. But,
right?
I did find some dead animals already down the cliff, so I'm pretty solid that it's an animal bone.
I'm gonna try to do this walking across these rocks and filming at the same exact time, so I can't guarantee that it's gonna be the most cinematic looking thing. But we have to walk across this. So right now during high tide, we'd be walking underwater. Oh my word. So, baby goal, wait till you see this. So right there in the center, there was a, I remember reading online, they said that there was a giant boulder blocking the path that you have to crawl over.
Right.
But you can see it. You see the giant boulder? The center of your screen. Let me go ahead and zoom in here a little bit. Well hidden in the hillside, in the cliffside, is that hole with the boulder right about the center of your screen. Yeah, there's no way that they would have saw this. Now, baby goal, there are two versions to this legend. The first one being, when they got here, they went inside, they were able to capture everybody without a fight. They put them in handcuffs and they took them to Edinburgh to the toll booth prison. We're going to visit that later on. The other legend is they came down here and they lit whatever incendiary they were using at the time, and they basically suffocated the clan inside the caves. In fact, when we get up here, when we were doing research of this, Jessica was reading about what they found, like the account of what the soldiers found when they went inside the caves, the carnage, if you will. And when we get up there, we're gonna have Jessica talk about it. Oh, we're almost there. This seems almost impossible. Trying to be as smooth as possible here, one-handing it. I got one hand on the wall watching my step. I will say this, every video that we've ever seen of this place, for the most part, has not been very clear. It's been like very either GoPro-ish or very grainy. So hopefully, if you're watching this, you're enjoying the efforts here. So this is the giant rock. Oh man. Truth be told, baby goal, I think this rock getting over the boulder into the caves is probably gonna be the hardest part of our descent down here. But we got this, we came this far, we gotta go over.
You said the descent at a cave.
Right? As above, so below. It's almost a completely vertical climb.
Pigeon!
Right? So I am 6'2" and I have the camera lifted above my head to probably about like, I'm gonna say 6'5", 6'6", just so we can see inside it. And you can see it's just like a very slim, shallow crack in there. Please watch your step. I got you if you fall backwards.
Oh, so much bird poop. Oh, it's fresh.
You're in though, right? Mm-hmm. Let me go ahead and hand you the camera. Because it's such a tight quarters, we are leaving our backpacks behind. We have lights and cell phones if need be. Oh shoot, okay, there are birds there. Wasn't expecting that. Not a fan of birds. Everybody be calm. Everybody be cool. You see the birds up there on the right-hand side of the crack? There's 2 of them. So we're going to move as slow as possible. I'm going to go ahead and put the camera down and pretend like they're not even there. We have our headlamps in our hands. And in we go. If I scream like a little girl, oh Jesus! Okay. Oh God!
They're so cute.
Oh, I don't like birds.
They're just pigeons.
How funny is it that, like, birds will scare me, but this does not. Oh my word. I can see my breath. Stay there, baby girl. So obviously a lot of graffiti in here. I read somewhere that it goes back 200 feet, or is it 200 meters? I'm always bad with that kind of stuff. Again, numbers. This is definitely one of the coolest things we have ever done. It's a lot bigger than what I thought it was going to be. But can you imagine 16th century living in here? So we both have headlamps. We're going to try not to point it at the camera. So this is the main chamber, and it goes back quite a bit. Oh, we got the horror in here. I feel like we're going to encounter something like... So it goes back that way, and then what's over here? Is it just dark? Oh, it's a smaller. I don't know, baby gold. What do you think? You want to go in? So when they came in here and they arrested the Sawney Bean clan, the story is that there were so many body parts everywhere, that there were body parts being pickled and body parts hanging from hooks, and it was just absolutely disgusting. And you can imagine, I'm just picturing the smell of this place. If not even the smell, just imagine like, okay, so what they would do, I gotta duck down. Oh, I don't like this. They would have to duck down like this and just walk through disgusting, mucky, blah. There are arms everywhere. Oh, it just keeps going back. Look at that. Oh my word. So it looks like it might end here. As somebody says, there's some graffiti that says 1962. But right here, it looks like it probably ends, or it goes around. You gonna go check it out, baby?
Sure.
Go for it. You're short. It wasn't like an elaborate cave system, like 200 meters, 200 feet. This is probably about it.
This is it.
Jessica was just saying that you already cannot hear the ocean, and that she forgot that it was there. Oh man, I'm gonna turn the light off here for a moment.
My light too?
No, you're good. Ooh. 6'2". I gotta pretty much crawl down. That was me hitting my shoulder. Oh, geez Louise. Since you are a lot shorter than I am, I think you should head into the other part of the cave over here to the right-hand side where it splits. I can't imagine that it goes back too far. It kind of looks like it goes down, doesn't it?
It gets really tight. I might have to leave my backpack.
All right, if you want. I got you. Just set your backpack down right there, yeah. Try to camp out down here. Oh yeah, that is.
So, reminder, I am 5'3", flat-footed, maybe in my shoes 5'4" or 5'5". I'm about 135, 125 pounds. And I could force myself through there, but I would have rock on my belly and I would have rock on my back. And if I did that, you probably can't see it here. I'm making them scurry a little bit, but that entire chasm is crisscrossing spider webs, and I can see the spiders that are on their webs.
Are they the yellow ones?
They're the yellow ones.
Yeah, the cave spiders.
I don't know if they're poisonous or venomous, rather.
Baby.
What?
Just grab your bag. I heard something. Baby girl, I don't mean to alarm you, but while you're there talking about the spiders, the yellow spiders, the cave spiders, I heard something. And I can hear the ocean off in the distance, and it kind of sounded like a car door slamming. We were nowhere near cars. It was just like something shutting. I thought somebody was coming into the caves. And I'm not just saying that to make it seem extra spooky. It actually startled us that we backed up to the main room. My first thought was, I don't want anything caving in on us. And then I thought somebody was walking in.
Which is not so scary, but we have our equipment outside.
Yeah. But we're here. We made it. The Sawney Bean Caves, the inspiration for the Hills of Eyes. The Sawney Bean Caves were a lot bigger than what we thought they were going to be, and at the same exact time, a lot smaller. That basically we showed everything, and something unexplainable happened for sure. I don't know what that was. Curious to see if anybody's out here. That's the rock. And we climbed up, which means we got to climb back down. All right, our bags are still there. I can see them on the right-hand side. Again, never thought in a million years that we'd ever get the opportunity to do this. Jessica's hanging back there. That's her. You can see the green hair. Where's she at? Right there. She's taking pictures. Getting down here this is probably the hardest video that we've ever had to make, meaning to like get here, the steps to get here. And it could have turned really, really bad. Like I said, if you want to come out here, don't watch our video. But if you do decide to come out here, be very careful and just watch our video and try to learn all that. Now, baby girl, what did you think of this place? Like, when we were planning on coming over here to Scotland, and I said, we're going to go to the Sawney Bean Cave, the inspiration for the Hills Have Eyes, this gruesome Scottish legend, this gruesome Scottish lore. What did you think?
I didn't expect to have to climb down a cliffside.
Surprise!
Surprise. I expected it to be bigger. It's, in my opinion, it's quite small. So you've got to remember that there were 40 some odd people here, adults and children, and I don't know how they did it. If the story is true and this is the correct cave, because I know that there is some legend behind that too, that this might not be the actual cave. But
right. There's a couple different caves in the area, and to be honest, the story of cannibalism in the hills here, the hills of Scotland, the hills have, yeah. The stories of cannibalism has been around for quite some time, and there have been vagrants living in other caves in the area, but this one here is the one that's closely associated with it. Most people, it either is or they assume. Climbing all the way down here, I feel like we deserve the right to stay here all day if we wanted to, and really, I think we could. I'm not gonna take up residence. If we did, I promise you we're not gonna be eating people, but we have to leave because further up the road is the next part of the Sawney Bean legend. Our Sawney Bean story continues in a little town known as Grimm, which is actually not that far from where the caves are. And this is where you get another little piece of the legend. So for this, we have to walk into what's known as the Old Street Graveyard. And it's just telling stories, just telling legends. This is something that not many people really talk about. And plus, it gives us another excuse to actually walk inside a cemetery on a dreary day here in Scotland. Now, when it comes to the family, the Sawney Bean family and clan, supposedly, according to legend, according to the story, one of the daughters actually, I wouldn't say escaped or got away, but she actually left the clan. And she moved here to Grimm. And the story is she planted a tree. It was called a dule tree. I think it's how you pronounce it, D-U-L-E. And it became known as the hairy tree because it looked like it had hair on its bark. We can't find that tree, it's been long gone. But there are 3 possible places, according to legend, where the hairy tree once stood. Again, these are all just stories and legends, and there's really no way of knowing, really, if any of them are true. But let's say that they are. Let's say that she did move here and she did plant a tree. Like I said, there are 3 possible places, and the first one is in a very extensive, elaborate garden that's not really open to the public anymore, so we can't get there. And besides, the tree has been cut down, according to legend. The second one being, once they cut down the tree, they built a prison over top of it. That building is still here, it could be there. And the third one is it was right next to or in the cemetery that we're standing in right now. And like I said, we always look for an excuse to visit a cemetery. Towards the back of the cemetery are some steps that go down to the street, this gate, which is where we are right now. And I wanted to get as close as possible to the street while still being in the cemetery because it plays into the legend. You see, not too far down the road, down the coast, is the caves, the Sawney Bean Caves, where basically they were killing and eating people, robbing, killing, eating people. And when they were eventually caught, they were handcuffed and they were taken to Edinburgh, to a place known as the Toll Booth Prison. And in doing so, they would have passed right through this town. Now this is important because while the Sawney Bean clan were taken through this town, there were some onlookers along the street. And one of them was the girl, the woman who left the Sawney Bean clan and set up a new life here in this town, the one who planted the tree. And somebody who was in handcuffs walking through, I don't know if it was Agnes herself or not, recognized her and called out to her. And then all of a sudden the entire town knew who she was and associated her with what was happening. So what did they do? They hung her from the same tree that she planted, the hairy tree. Again, say it with me folks, I know I keep saying it, stories and legends. There's just no way of really knowing if any of it is true. Nobody knows for certain where the hairy tree once stood. There's 3 places that the locals talk about that say that it was here, no it was there, no it was here. There's no grave, there's nothing. Except what we know, stories and legends. But this is part of the story, part of the legend. Walking through the cemetery, taking pictures, we saw something in the back corner of the cemetery and we had to go check it out, and we have to show it to you. Now, I highly doubt that it is the tree that was planted, the hairy tree, but right over here in the back of the cemetery, rumored to be one of the places from the legend, is an old, gigantic tree stump. Now, the tree had to have been huge. D-U-L-E, I think is how you spell it. Dule tree, probably saying it wrong. And they hung her from it. How cool would it be? I mean, what if this was the tree from the legend? All right, baby girl. From here, we head northeast. We're heading to Edinburgh, one of our favorite places to be. We are in search of an old prison known as the Toll Booth Prison. Our story continues to Edinburgh, Scotland. What you're looking at right now is the castle that overlooks the city of Edinburgh, but actually we are here because of an old prison that used to stand not too far from this very castle. An old prison known as the Toll Booth Prison. According to legend, when Sawney Bean and his clan were caught, they were arrested and they were brought here to the old Toll Booth Prison here in Edinburgh. Now behind me you can see this giant church. This is the St. Giles Cathedral, and the old prison used to stand right over here in this area. Now, even though it's no longer here, there are still signs that show, that actually pinpoint exactly where the prison once stood. What you're looking at right now is a close-up of an old map of Edinburgh. And this building right here is the St. Giles Cathedral, the one that I was just pointing out behind me. This long rectangular building in the middle of the road, that is the old Toll Booth Prison. And even though it's no longer here, there are markers in the road that show where the walls used to be. That's what we're looking for. Now, in order to see these markers, we pretty much have to walk over to the entrance of the St. Giles Cathedral and just look down. Usually we say we got to look up, but here we got to look down. Now we should start seeing these gold-colored bricks over to the left-hand side on the other side of the statue. Now, here's the thing. Everything about the old Toll Booth Prison has been kind of well documented, except for whenever it was built. That is kind of up for debate. It's undergone a lot of renovations over the years. At one point, it's been torn down, obviously. Now, Jessica's found them. I'm gonna go ahead and back up a little bit. So you're standing at one right there. And before we show some of the other markings, right down here on the ground, if we point the camera down here, you can see these. They're not gold, but they kind of are like gold-colored bricks. And they got a couple different dates. And the one right there in the middle, it's believed in 1386 is right around the time that the old Toll Booth Prison was built. But again, nobody knows for sure. as we point out the different stones and the different markings that are now in the ground, I want you to keep in mind that the street here is really not that big. So to have this prison in the middle of the street, in the middle of Edinburgh, to me is kind of crazy. Now you hear that bell? Now how the toll booth prison got its name is, one, it used to be an old toll booth. And the other one being, it did have a bell on it. And as things would happen here in town, like meetings or the market would open up, the bell would ring, indicating that something was about to begin. Now, obviously, it's been torn down. And the reason for that, it never was the greatest looking building here. In fact, it was a bit of an eyesore. And as you can see from the architecture around us, it's kind of beautiful here. Now, it was renovated a couple of different times, and then I'm not sure who it was, but king or a queen, somebody said it's gotta go. But up until this point, throughout history, the toll booth prison had a reputation for being pretty violent. They executed people here. There was like a second floor overhang where they would hang people, and it was in front of the public. It was like public executions. And they were also known for taking dismembered body parts of those they executed and impaling them on stakes, according to legend, so the town can see it. So can you imagine this? A toll booth in the middle of the street, and in order to get from one side to the next, you have to pass such a gruesome sight. Kind of fitting for the Sawney Bean story, right? All right, long-winded. Let's take a look at those stones. This place is super busy today. There are tour groups everywhere, people everywhere, but we're gonna do our best to try to stay out of everybody's way. Now, as Jessica walks over here, you're gonna look down, and right here in the bricks is bricks in the shape of a heart. Now, this was the entrance to the old toll booth prison. Well, it marks where it once was. And it's called the Heart of Midlothian, right? And if I'm not mistaken, the prison was torn down in 1817, right around there, 1817 to 1820. And locals who walk by this often spit on the heart for good luck. So when you come here, if you follow our footpath, don't sit down and touch the pavement. There's a tour group right there talking about people spitting on it. As for the brick markers in the ground, you can actually walk the line of the old prison just by looking down. I know we always say look up, but there's a couple of them right there. And then if you walk over this way, I'm having Jessica stop at each one so you can see it. But if you walk over this way, you gotta be careful because it goes out into the road. So yeah, go ahead and you can see the gold bricks out here. Jessica was just saying it really wasn't big. No, not really. I mean, you think that an old prison that it would be, but no. Now it's a straight line right over here in the middle of the street, right next to this delivery truck. Well, it's a laundry truck. Go ahead and walk down this way. You can see the shiny bricks. Now this is where it starts to get really interesting. According to that map, we know that the church was here and it's still standing. So I'm guessing this is the outer wall over here. And you see that the color bricks, like the darker bricks in the road? Just after this, it starts to kind of come to a point over to the right-hand side. So it wasn't wide, but it definitely was long. I can hear bagpipers all the way down there. No, I didn't leave Jessica behind. She's walking right next to me. So, I don't know if you heard me, Baby Gold, but I was just saying to the viewers, yeah, so there was a wall right here. Jessica's just pointing that out. That goes towards the church. But right over here, you can see how it kind of curves down, or not curves, but angles down to the steeple. So let's go ahead and mark this. The end of the toll booth prison is exactly right where Jessica's standing right now. You can see how it kind of comes to a point there. And you can see that green truck all the way down there. Just past that I mean, it wasn't wide, but definitely was long. Crazy, right? Now, believe it or not, the story, the legend of Sawney Bean, gets even more gruesome. You see, whenever the Sawney Bean clan was captured and they were executed, the men, they cut off their genitals, they cut off their hands, they cut off their feet, and they allowed the men to bleed to death. The women and children, however, they tied them to a stake and they burned them, kind of like witches. Well, at least that's the image I get in my head. Something else I always find rather interesting. I mean, by all accounts, you hear about this prison being not the greatest looking thing. Like, it was like in a state of disrepair by the time that it was torn down. And everything around here, including this church, is just beyond beautiful. So it's kind of hard to picture this like dilapidated building, this dilapidated prison in the middle of all of this. But then you have to remember that this is back in the time where it wasn't really the greatest living conditions here. I mean, remember the plague? Now, speaking of areas of town that didn't have the greatest living conditions, almost directly across the street, just a little further down, is where you'll find a close that has a bit of a reputation for not being that clean back in the day, and that is Mary King's Close. And here's the thing, if you do find yourself here in Scotland, you can actually visit it because they have cleaned it all up, obviously, and you can come and take a tour of it. And we did it last time we were here, and just a little heads up, it's very plague doctor heavy. The last time we were here in Edinburgh, we did the Mary King's Close nighttime tour. It was like a lantern-led tour. It was really, really cool. This time around, we're not going to do it, but we do love a gift shop. And even more than that, we love a good photo op. And they didn't have this last time, but check this out. It is a plague doctor photo opportunity. Oh yeah, this is really cool. Since we know for certain that the St. Giles Cathedral was standing back whenever Sawney Bean was here, it makes sense that we go inside and take a look at it, because it is beautiful. We were inside once before in a video that we did while we were here in Edinburgh, so this is it's like returning home. That, and since it's raining outside, it's a nice little stop indoors to just kind of stay dry. Well, the rain is starting to come down a little bit more, baby girl, but you know what? It is all good, because when it comes to Sawney Bean and the Grimm Life Collective, I think we are about done here in Edinburgh.
Wherever I come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.